That was a great trip to Europe, but time to get some work done.
Let's hope you put up a good fight.
Yeah, come on. Oh, editing this video so hard right now.
Let the mountain's veins boil. Let's ride. Let's go, Tomato. Show no mercy.
Need primo gems. Ah! Silidar.
Going into a trance is risky for most people, so don't get any ideas.
So no, don't!
What's up, everyone? It's Dan with Main Deck, and welcome to spoiler season for set 6 of Grand Archive Abyssal Heaven, releasing March 7th worldwide, and I cannot wait for this set and the 2 new champions coming along with it, including their recollection decks. And of course, our spoilers today are going to be related to one of those, specifically the Guo Jia Tamer Luxem recollection deck. We've got some incredibly cool spoilers to show you today. I know you want to see them, but just one thing before we do, make sure you are subbed to all of these content creators. Yes, go to their channels and subscribe to them. Support content creators for Grand Archive. Links will be down in the description below. There will be some incredible spoilers coming from all of these content creators, and you're not going to want to miss those. Now, without any further ado, let's look at what I've got to show you today. It is 3 cards, or technically 5 cards or something. The crazy new thing is that in Abyssal Heaven, we are getting dual-faced cards specifically related to the Guo Jia deck, mostly, but not entirely. But yes, today we are looking at some Guo Jia stuff, so let's jump right into it. We're going to look at Fabled Ruby Fatestone. Our very first card we're going to show you, this is going to be what you will potentially build your Guo Jia deck around in the fire element if you don't want to go the arcane route that they showed off in the stream. So Fabled Ruby Fatestone is a 7-cost Regalia item, Tamer Fatestone. Of course, that cost isn't really important because you're going to use Guo Jia's level 1 to pull it out for free at the start of the game. This is an Immortal Spell Shroud item with Guo Jia bonus at the beginning of your recollection phase. Deal 1 damage to each champion. That includes her as well. And then Guo Jia bonus whenever non-combat damage is dealt to 1 or more units by a fire element source you control, put a quest counter on your champion. So of course, like the other Shenju that we've seen so far, the quest counter mechanic is how you flip this card from the Fatestone to the Fate-bound Beast side. And in this case, you're trying to get 7 quest counters on your champion by dealing damage with non-combat sources. There are lots of ways you can definitely do that. Not the least of which will certainly be a card that we had set up in Mortal Ambition, Relic of Dancing Embers, which is this hindered Fantasia Tamer artifact that allows you to pop it to deal damage to your opponent whenever a fire element ally you control deals combat damage to a champion. And it has floating memory, so it actually can deal the damage, trigger the Fatestone to get another quest counter, and then use that floating memory to level up to your future Guo Jia levels. So there are, tons and tons and tons of ways to deal damage to your opponent. I don't need to go through every single one, but once you get those 7 quest counters, what is this going to flip into? None other than Suzaku Vermilion Phoenix. This is going to be a really cool Shenju to build your endgame around. A 4/3 with Spell Shroud, and then Guo Jia bonus on banish. You may banish 3 fire element cards from your graveyard. If you do, return Suzaku to the field transformed, so it returns as the Phoenix side. Normally, when a flipped card leaves play and comes back, it's going to come back on its front side, but in this case it comes back, actually transforms the Phoenix. So this is a really sick ability where you actually don't have to worry as much about trying to protect Suzaku, and instead anytime it would actually be killed, because it's a regalia, it will banish instead and then trigger that on banish anyway. If you want to, a thing you can do is actually use Cremation Ritual on your own Suzaku Vermilion Phoenix, which will then banish it, draw you 2 cards, and then if you have the 3 fire element cards to banish to it, it will come back, and it'll come back awake. It's not gonna come back rested, so you can actually get an attack off Cremation Ritual it, banish the 3, it comes back, and then attack with it again. And you're not even really like losing many cards on that because Cremation Ritual is drawing them. So there's certainly going to be some interesting, I think, proactive ways you can use Suzaku aggressively, as well as it just is going to be really hard to kind of take down and get out, especially when you get to throw in Guo Jia level 2's Lineage Release to protect it from like key Dream Fairy effects that might disrupt your combo here. So I think this is going to be a really fun Shenju to build around. But we actually have another support card that might go into your Suzaku deck. So let's take a look at Suzaku's Command. This is a 2-cost fast speed action Tamer skill with target beast allies next attack this turn gets unblockable and gets +2 power. And if that ally is a Shenju, that attack gets an additional +2 power and gains combat damage dealt by this attack is unpreventable. So this is going to turn your Suzaku's attack into an 8 damage, unblockable, unpreventable smackdown from your already spell-shrouded beast. That is just really hard to get rid of anyway. Definitely seems like a really cool way to push some damage, but notably, this actually doesn't have to be used on Shenju. Obviously, it's going to be best in there. It could be used on any of the other Shenju as well, but you can throw this into other Tamer decks, I guess, if you want to just get a +2 power and unblockable swing as a way to get through, for example, a Majestic Spirit that's kind of locking down the board, or just any number of other taunt or intercept units. That unblockable is just going to allow you to ignore them and push through. So kind of a neat little Tamer trick to be able to work with, and I'm excited to see if we have some other gigantic beasts to work with. Not like Slimes really needs any extra help here, but certainly other Tamer decks might start to crop up and we get more cool effects like this. And then finally, the last card or cards we're going to be looking at is actually going to be for the water side. And so we haven't seen the water Shenju yet, but maybe we can get some ideas about what they're going to do when we look at Fluvial Fatestone. This is a 2-cost item Tamer Fatestone, and this is one that's going to be in your main deck, not a material deck one. This is a fast activation item with on enter, target ally you control gets +2 life until end of turn. So it is just going to be sort of a fast combat trick to kind of keep your ally alive when your opponent's going to try and take them out with a damage source or an attack. And then it'll have a pay for reserve, exhaust this, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your graveyard to transform Fluvial Fatestone. So I love this. We already know, if you've been playing the game at all recently, the water mill meta is really a part of the game, and this is another way to get access to more of those water floating memory effects in Tamer. Tamer also has some really powerful cards like Seaside Ringleader that you would be super happy to mill with the Fluvial Fatestone's activation. When you do transform it though, it goes into Mocking Otter, and I love the art on this card. It's so funny. The Mocking Otter is a taunt retort to 1/2 ally. So you're going to get from this that sort of combat trick, maybe keeping an ally alive, and then a mill 2, which might hit a floating memory or might hit something else that you actually want to have in your yard. And then you're going to get this 1/2 with taunt and retort 2, means your opponent's going to have to attack something into it, and then when it retaliates, it actually hits back for 3. Or, of course, this is Tamer, so we have lots of ways to put buff counters on things that are going to make this potentially actually a much scarier taunt and retort. It's not going to probably take too many attacks to take it out, but it seems like it's not going to be too hard to allow the Mocking Otter to take something down with it instead. And as long as on that mill 2 you hit some sort of value float, or of course the ringleader or something, you're probably going to feel pretty okay about this whole exchange, especially because Guo Jia has a bunch of cards that will just already give you value for playing these Fatestones in a similar way to how the Slimes deck builds advantage through having a lot of slime cards in it. So those are our spoilers. I am super excited. Guo Jia is probably the champion I'm most excited for, although honestly, after seeing that full dev stream, I can't really decide which champions I'm most excited for, but I am really pumped to see the different ways you can build Guo Jia and how she's going to use some more of these really powerful Tamer cards that we've had before in a sort of non-slime package to see what elements people start to build her around. Let me know what you think in the comments down below of our spoilers today. Is the fire Shenju Suzaku going to be the one you build your deck around, or are you going to stick with the Seiryu, the arcane build, or are you looking for the wind or water ones? Maybe you want that water for the otter. If you do, let me know in the comments down below what gets you excited. And again, make sure you're subbed to all the other content creators here on the screen so that you do not miss their incredible spoilers for this season. Again, Abyssal Heaven releases March 7th. It's going to be an insane set. Can't wait for it. Stay tuned for more content. We'll be pushing out a lot more Grand Archive content real soon, as well as all of our other TCGs. Make sure you're subbed to the channel to catch that, though. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you guys in the next one.